Anyway, like I was saying, I really looked up to this family member who was babysitting me. We became very close. And I just remember one day, this person sitting really close to me, we were playing video games, and he started to touch my thigh.
Jeezy been fighting them demons with her for a long time. Now she gonna have to do it on her own. She gonna have to enter the dragon in order to finally defeat those demons that been haunting her all of her life. You didn't even hear the half of it. She's talking about how when she was younger, all the way until she became of age, she was being taken advantage of. Now Jeezy don't know how to touch her, don't know how to please her, and allegedly she don't trust Jeezy around their daughter because of what happened to her. Y'all need to listen at this.
Anyway, like I was saying, I really looked up to this family member who was babysitting me. We became very close. And I just remember one day, this person sitting really close to me, we were playing video games, and he started to touch my thigh. And I just remember the whole time I keep thinking, this is my family member. I know him like this. I've known him for this long. He's taught me this. He's allowed in my house. This is cool. This is okay.
She didn't know what she was doing was good or bad when she was a child. This person in her family was taking advantage of her. And now she's a grown woman, and Jeezy was the man that she chose to help her take care of all of her problems. But he got out the door as soon as he found out this type of information. And the sad part about it is cycles do continue. Her mother let it happen to her by the sounds of things. So Jeezy is concerned for his child, and that's why he wanted to get full custody, because he had no clue that her family had a dark side, especially not a side that's this dark.
And I also was just stunned because I've never been intimately touched like that. So I couldn't tell if it was wrong. I just knew I was noticing it. I was almost narrating it in my head, but I also just kept playing the video games. Every day, the touching continued a little bit more. Him taking off some of my clothes. We used to have the bathroom in your room. I remember him pulling me into that shower, and it was the first time I've ever seen a grown man and what he looked like. I was still 9 years old. I remember him telling me to touch him in certain ways.
Now her mother is sitting there looking guilty as hell. I don't know no parents out there that don't have intuition when it comes to their children. A lot of people believe in that her mother allowed for this type of behavior to happen, and her mother let this man do whatever he did to her for payments for his services. And this is a common practice amongst plenty of households, but the only problem is this woman was living in Jeezy's household with his daughter. So I'm sure when he found out this information, he didn't want his child to have anything to do with this family. Now people are saying he was better off sticking with his own kind because he know how it goes. But this type of stuff happens in every culture. I don't think this is an Asian thing, a black thing, or a white thing. This is a world ill that need to be cured, man. But Jeezy found the solution by running down to the courthouse and filing for divorce.
When I picture it, I just see flashes of things. I remember seeing the color of my clothes. I remember seeing blue jeans, and then my blue underwear, my green shirt that my mom bought for me. And this happened every day for a few weeks, and then it turned into months. And I remember 1 year going by. I didn't want to say anything because I was afraid. Honestly, because I knew you and Dad were struggling with money.
So was that the real reason why her parents allowed for this to happen? They were struggling with money? I would hate to say that they was pimping their daughter out, but she grew up to marry a pimp, and not just any pimp. We talking about the snowman. He iced out and he got blow, man. People was baffled, like, what draws her to Jeezy? Why is she attracted to this thug that's willing to take advantage of anybody he ever come across? And now it's starting to look like Jeezy's facade got him in trouble, because it was all an act as far as him being a D-boy or whatever the case is. She believed it. She thought this man was going to bring her more harm than good. But when she found out that he was really a nice guy and he wasn't there to cause the destruction that she so desperately need, That's when he got up out of there, man. And it make you wonder how she only stayed married to Jeezy for 2 years, but her previous husband, she was married to him for like 10 years, so he had to be on some freaky chains and whips and Rick James shit, man.
And I knew that we had to have a babysitter, so I was afraid of getting him in trouble because then who would watch over us? And you were always really tired because you had 2 jobs and you were stressed out. And I never thought to come and bring more issues to you. He said certain things that made me afraid of making you angry at me. He would say things like, which is like, your mom's gonna hit you if you talk about the family. Or, không ai tin đâu. Nhiều người nghĩ là con gái điên lắm, which is like, nobody's gonna believe you.
One thing for sure, Jeezy definitely not gonna believe you talking like that because, like me, he don't even understand what you're talking about, man. I'm pretty sure he's still devastated at the fact that he went to China to find a wife when he been in America all of his life and could have easily picked one of his fans or loving supporters, but he got involved with something that he don't even know nothing about. They said the movie The Ring was inspired by Jeannie Mai. And by no way am I trying to make fun of her situation, but Jeezy is shaking in his boots, and I got to look out for my brother. They trying to get him to come back home, but he need directions. Jeezy, pull up to the block. Get out with the chains on. Throw money at the kids. Tell Gucci to bring an ice cream truck. We need it for the culture, man. But if he continue to keep trying to divorce this woman now that the world know her secrets, she could easily flip it and say that the man that was watching over her could have been Jeezy's father. And next thing you know, he got a family member in jail.
People think little girls like you are crazy. I would just come home and go to my room, and I just kind of knew that he would come in at some point, and there was nowhere in my house to run to. This went on for a long time, for a few years. I'm a teenager. I'm like 13, 14. And I remember getting quieter, and I started getting nightmares. I felt like you and I grew farther from each other because you were working so much.
I always thought she was one of those Hollywood suburban kids that came up living the life, but by the sounds of it, she was dead broke, and she was an emo kid at one time in her life. So Jeezy finding this out by allegedly going through her diaries and seeing upside down crosses and pentagrams and all this weird stuff she was going through in her childhood, that had to scare him, man. He got involved with a demon, and I'm not saying it's her fault, but life changed her in a way to where I'm sure she's still trying to recover from that. And now that she got a little girl, she got to be paranoid about who she have around their child. And Jeezy is out of the picture because allegedly she don't even want the snowman around his own baby girl, man.
I approached my mom, and I tried to tell you what had happened. You were in the kitchen, you were cooking something. And I remember telling her, almost like pleading with her, like, I don't like this person. I don't want to stay at home with him anymore. Please stay home with me. I remember you were confused. I think you thought we were fighting, like kids fighting, right?
That's what I thought.
Do you remember this moment?
Yeah, I thought you guys fighting all the time. You said you don't like him, so I thought you fight. That's it.
Even if that was the case, this grown man fighting with your child, shouldn't that be a good enough reason to pull the plug? If your child come to you, letting you know that they don't like somebody, they don't want to be around somebody, they're fighting with somebody, as a parent, shouldn't you go up and beyond to protect your child? But a lot of sources is saying that her mother allegedly was in on it, and that's the reason why she went on a hiatus and didn't even speak to her mother for like 8 years. But when she got married, her mother doing bad and they need the money and they like to keep it all in the family. They've been through the struggle. And Jeezy is realizing that now that she ain't got no job and he got to buy all this food for their baby and the daddy and the uncle, and ain't nobody trying to help out because they come from a torn family.
So I remember the words I was saying was trying to get my mom to just get him to leave, but I also wasn't able to say it clearly because I don't even know what that word is in Vietnamese, that someone's touching you. Like, you know what I mean? It's just so weird. So she didn't get it, and she just said, you guys don't like each other right now. Just, ignore each other for now. I kind of went back to my own corner, and he was starting to become more aggressive with what he was doing to me.
I want to say a prayer for all the women that went through this or going through this right now, man. I know it's not easy, so I'm not trying to make light of the situation, but it's safe to say that Jeezy's wife is damaged goods. And I see she's recovering. She's still standing on her feet. She made something out of herself. That's a lot to be applauded for. But as a brother in a household with a wife and kids, you never gonna win in that situation, man. And I hate to put it like that, but Jeezy had to find a way out. It's hard enough being in a black relationship. Can you imagine what it's like being in a ghetto Asian relationship, man? I feel for Jeezy. He needs to just come on back home, do some more music. We'll forget about it. She gonna have to heal. But you supposed to be a husband through thick and thin, till death do y'all part. You dead wrong for leaving her like that, like this. And we ain't had no clue that she was on this type of time. Now, I'm not saying she crippled or she handicapped, but she definitely needs some love from her husband, and he not willing to ride it out because them demons, them dragons is too big to face. Y'all gonna have to let me know how y'all feel about this in the comment section. Hit that like button, subscribe. Also hit that notification button so y'all will know the next time I go live. And hit that Cash App too, $Sean Blaze Docs. I'ma see y'all on the next video.
You know you want to, you might as well subscribe. You know you want to, you might as well subscribe. You know you want to, you might as well subscribe. You know you want to, you might as well subscribe. You know you want to, you might as well subscribe. You know you want to, you might as well subscribe. You know you want to, you might as well subscribe.